Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
I'm Jason Miller. Tonight on the Evan-Miller Report, Islamic State forces are forced to pull out from Aleppo. We'll have more on that story. A German reporter asked President Obama what his red line is on the Ukrainian-Russian crisis. Do we have that answer or no answer? That's the question. We have the story. Also tonight, in Haiti, clashes tonight over the protest over the high cost of fuel. In business tonight, HSBC Bank in the UK has been accused of helping clients dodge millions of dollars in UK taxes. What does the Swiss have to do with this? We have a story on that tonight. All that plus, Justice Thomas on the Supreme Court is objecting to his colleague's decision on gay marriage. All those stories and more. Plus, Corey Evan.
Thank you, Jay. The Saudi Prince's TV station in Bahrain is off the air after less than a day. Alabama fires back at gay marriage in our continuing battle against global socialism. Looking forward to iOS 9? Well, don't expect to be blown away. Although I expect to be blown away by my new iPhone coming in. Sleeping with the water company will land you in lawsuits across America. And Lily Allen tells Piers Morgan to shove it in entertainment. All that's coming up in the Evan-Miller Report, your conservative news source. Starting now. Play the theme, Jay.
Live from Southern California, this is the Evan-Miller Report. Jason Miller with news and politics, Corey Evan with business and entertainment. This is the Evan-Miller Report on SHR Media and Pundit Press Radio. Here now, Jason Miller.
And a very good evening on this Monday, February the 9th, 2015. Hope you had a great weekend. I'm Jason Miller.
And I'm Corey Evan. I certainly had a great weekend. I wanted to bring you a snowball from Big Bear, but I forgot my cooler back here at the trailer, so I couldn't do it. I'm sorry.
Well, just send the snowball over to Pune and throw it directly at his face.
Will do.
All right, folks, we got a lot of news to get to tonight. And we start off tonight over in Syria, where Islamic State has withdrawn some of its insurgents and equipment from areas northeast of the Syrian city of Aleppo. Rebels and residents say that signs of strain in the Syrian provinces of its self-declared capitate. The group, which has recently lost ground to Kurdish and Syrian government forces elsewhere in Syria, has pulled fighters and hardware from several villages in areas northeast of Aleppo, they say, but it has not fully withdrawn from the area as of yet. According to the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, which tracks the war using a network of sources on the ground, they say that the Islamic State had redeployed forces from Aleppo province to join battles further east with Kurdish forces and mainstream rebel groups. Islamic State held areas northeast of Aleppo mark the western edge of a domain that expanded rapidly in Syria and Iraq last year after the jihadists seized the Iraqi city of Mosul. Last month, the group suffered its first major setback in Syria since last summer before being driven from the predominantly Kurdish town of Columbine by Kurdish militia backed by U.S.-led airstrikes. Syrian government forces waging a separate campaign against the group have also been inflicted losses recently. All right, over to the big story that was supposed to be big this weekend, but has ended up being delayed again until Wednesday. President Obama may be considering sending weapons to Ukraine to help its soldiers repel Russian-backed separatists, but he isn't drawing a red line on what would prompt him to do so. The subject of a red line in foreign policy, that is, of course. An uncomfortable one for the president this morning, who had a press conference with German President Angela Merkel. It was an uncomfortable one, as I mentioned, for it, and he famously ignored the bright determination he set when the Syrian army was caught using chemical weapons against rebels in 2013. To make matters worse, President Obama was caught off guard this morning by a German reporter who asked him what his red line would be on the Ukrainian-Russian crisis. Here is what was said.
Press agency. President, you said that you have not yet made a decision as to whether weapons ought to be delivered to Ukraine. What would be your red line? What would be the red line that needs to be crossed for you to decide an armament of the Ukrainian army? And what do you think will this hold by way of a promise? Because the Chancellor said it will make matters worse. And what can the Nobel laureate Obama do more to defuse this conflict? And, Madam Chancellor, President Putin today demanded yet again that the government in Kiev negotiate directly with the separatists. When do you think the right moment has come to do this? And with looking at all of the big issues that you discussed, this breach of confidence due to the NSA affair of the U.S.-German relations, has that played a role today?
Do you want to go first on that?
Ich kann gerne.
I can gladly start.
As you can see, President Obama taken off guard by that German reporter today. And Corey Evan, it's in my opinion, President Obama really doesn't know how to handle this situation, especially if he can't answer a question like that. And he really put himself in a bad situation. And I could use the old term, hindsight's a beep, when it comes to this, considering that he used the term red line back when the Syrian crisis was coming to a head, and now those words, red line, is coming back to haunt him.
Yeah. You know how we have a lot of news apps on each of our phones, Jake? I'm surprised he doesn't have every single one of them to keep an eye on everything that's going on out in the world. Otherwise, he'd keep abreast of this sort of stuff. Instead, I think he's just got too many Candy Crush-like games on his phone.
And honestly, I think he's being very naive when it comes to knowing what the world's problems actually are. And I bet he was giving Josh Earnest, the White House press secretary and BS artist, probably a look and saying, okay, who let this smart German reporter into my press room? I only take bonehead reporters.
Just say what you really mean, Jay.
He's an idiot.
Thank you. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but we had to start this off to a good Monday.
It's a Monday. That's right. All right, folks. To finish off this story, the exchange, of course, was notable because of the presence of Merkel, who during a speech on Saturday explicitly rejected the possibility of sending arms to Ukraine on the grounds that it would make the situation worse and that winning a military conflict with Russia was impossible. She stuck to that position Monday, as I said, at the White House, even as Obama refused to rule it out. Merkel said she wanted to make at least one more attempt to broker a ceasefire in the region. The president is also facing increasing pressure domestically to bolster assistance to Ukraine, and his nominee for Defense Secretary Ashton Kutcher told the Senate committee last week he's very much inclined toward arming Ukraine. Of course, stay with the Evan-Miller Report, where we'll keep you up to date on the latest on the situation developing over in the Ukraine-Russia conflict. All right, folks, moving on to other international news that we're following today. Police in Haiti have clashed with anti-government protesters angry about the high cost of fuel in the region. Several people were injured as police moved to clear roadblocks set up in the capital, Port-au-Prince. Protest organizers said that the drivers who ventured into the city center during the two-day protest will be putting their lives at risk. Haiti has seen months of protest against President Michel Martelly over delayed elections. One Ralph Lee Croix, a Port-au-Prince resident, said, quote, because of the price of fuel, the cost of living is going up. If the government could cut the price of fuel so it was lower, the population would live better, he told writers in ITN. Petrol and diesel prices have been reduced by the government recently, but protesters want a cut of up to 50%, reflecting the drop in international oil prices over the past 6 months. The price of a gallon of petrol in Haiti initially dropped about 25 cents to $4.50 a gallon, and further cuts will reduce that price to about $4. Meanwhile, diesel prices were cut down by 20% to $3.55 a gallon and will now go down to $3.30 a gallon. All right, folks, I'll be back in a couple of minutes with a couple of big international stories, business stories tonight, including HSBC in trouble for helping their customers avoid taxes. And what does Switzerland have to do with this? More on that in a moment. But first, we get some of the day's other news. We send it up to the newsroom up in Los Angeles. Corey Evan has the news.
I've certainly got it, Jay. Bahrain announced today the permanent closure of a new pan-Arab news channel owned by a Saudi billionaire that took to the air for less than 24 hours. This according to the Daily Mail. Yeah, about that. The Al Arab news channel had vowed to practice objective journalism in a politically charged Middle East region where leading regional broadcasters have been accused of bias. Quote, it has been decided to halt the activities of Al Arab, the channel not having received the necessary permits, a statement from the Bahrain Information Affairs Authority said on Monday. Shortly after its launch on February 1st, programming was interrupted after Al Arab broadcast an interview with a Shiite opponent of the Gulf Kingdom's Sunni rulers. The interview sparked criticism in the pro-government Bahraini daily Akhbar al-Khalij, which said it learned that Al Arab was taken off the air for not adhering to the norms prevalent in Gulf countries. So what? Anyway, Mohammed Al-Osi, a specialist in Arab media at Sorbonne Nouvelle University in Paris, told AFP that the interview gave, quote, the impression that he had not respected the hospitality of Bahrain by giving voice to an opposition figure, something very sensitive. Bahrain is a close ally of neighboring Sunni-dominated Saudi Arabia, where a minority community of Shiites in the country's east have complained of marginalization. The head of media at Bahrain's information ministry, Yusuf Mohammed, said last week that, quote, cooperation with Al Arab's administration is ongoing in order to resume its broadcasts and complete necessary measures as soon as possible. Jamal Khashoggi, Al Arab's general manager, could not be reached for a comment on Monday. He's a veteran Saudi journalist who was forced to step down from the helm of Saudi Arabia's Al Watan Daily in 2010 after it ran an opinion column that angered religious conservatives. Prior to the launch of Al Arab, he told AFP the channel was not going to take sides. Khashoggi said a news channel should not have a political agenda. We should just be a news channel that provides accurate, objective information. Much like we're trying to be here at SHR Media, trying to bring you moral point of view instead of politically biased. So at least unlike CNN, which has typically been to the left, at least it was under Piers Morgan. There we are. I guess that eventually, ladies and gentlemen...
I'm certainly sure, Corey, that you have a reason for mentioning CNN and the likes of Piers Morgan.
Yes, that's coming up in entertainment. Can't wait to take on this one.
That's what we call, ladies and gentlemen, old in the biz. That's what you call a clinch teaser right there. He wants you to stay tuned.
Please.
Right, what else do you got?
I've got former Florida Governor Jeb Bush today decrying messages posted to Twitter by a top technology aide as inappropriate. But a spokeswoman said the recent hire would remain with Bush's, in essence, presidential campaign. This, according to the AP. The distraction came the same day Bush told supporters and former aides he's singularly focused on winning a presidential bid, and as he prepared to release thousands of emails from his time as Florida's chief executive and the first chapter of a related e-book to highlight what he called a compassionate leadership style with deep conservative credentials. You can't really say that if you're supporting the common crap, so you might as well drop that, Jeff. A Bush spokeswoman said he was disappointed to learn that Ethan Sehor, I think that's how you pronounce his last name, hired in January as chief technology officer of Bush's Right to Rise Political Action Committee, had posted messages on his personal Twitter account that referred to women as sluts and made remarks about gay men. Within an hour, Sehor posted a new tweet, his first in months. Quote, I deleted some old jokes I made years ago that I no longer find funny or appropriate. Hashtag learning, hashtag maturing, unquote. Hashtag I don't buy it. Hashtag anyway. Bush spokeswoman Christy Campbell said...
story.
Yeah. Bush spokeswoman Christy Campbell said, Say Hood, the founder of Hipster.com, will stay in the role. And, Jay, I'm going to look into Hipster.com at some point in the next few days, and I'll get back to you on exactly how I feel about it. Yeah, as you know, Bush has yet to announce his presidential run, but at the same time, we wouldn't be surprised. Police have charged a Pittsburgh area boy with murder as he posted a selfie on Snapchat with the victim's body. This from Mashable. According to court documents, police charged 16-year-old Maxwell Marion Morton with the fatal shooting of Ryan Mangan, also 16, in the face. Morton then allegedly posed for a self-portrait with the body, which he sent to a friend via Snapchat. Snapchat's photo messages are designed to self-destruct once sent, but as most of you should know, there are loopholes around Snapchat photo delete, such as taking a screen cap of the photo or using a third-party app to save it. Morton's friend apparently saved the Snapchat photo before it deleted itself, then showed the picture to his mother, who contacted PD. According to the affidavit, Morton also sent messages to his friend that read, quote, told you I cleaned up the shelf, and Ryan was not the last one. Investigators searched Morton's home on Friday and found a 9mm handgun. In Mangan's bedroom, police also found a 9mm casing. Morton confessed to Mangan's murder after police found the weapon. According to the affidavit, the teen is being held without bail and is being charged as an adult for first-degree murder, homicide, and possession of a firearm. While I'm not one to support anything that is for gun control, at the same time, parents, keep guns locked up so that your teens can't commit a crime like this and then brag about it on social media. Because we're winding up in a big old
by the Evan PSA firm.
Yeah, thank you very much. And please, like I said, lock those weapons up when they're not in use. An 11-year-old Ohio girl stands accused of brutally and fatally beating a 2-month-old to death. Sorry, it's got me all tongue-tied. At any rate, WOIO reports the victim was 2-month-old Zuri Whitehead. Whitehead was killed as she spent the night with the attacker and her mother. The mother was watching Whitehead for a friend at the time of the killing. The mother told police that she fell asleep with both her daughter and Whitehead on the couch at around 3 a.m. Friday. It seems that after the mother fell asleep, the 11-year-old took the infant upstairs and beat her to death. After attacking the baby, the attacker brought the baby back downstairs to show her mother, who immediately called for an ambulance. The child died despite being airlifted to a children's hospital in Cleveland. The AP reports that Whitehead's mother has 3 other children, and the attacker's mother was watching the victim to help out the victim's mother. Local authorities told the Blade that the attacker is the youngest murderer they can recall in all their years of service. Because of the attacker's age, she cannot be referred to adult court, which is usually what happens when minors are involved with particularly violent or gruesome crimes. Ohio law mandates that a minor must be at least 14 before they can be tried in adult court for their crimes. But it's possible that the girl is going to be forced to stay in a facility operated by the Department of Youth Services until she's 21, a.k.a. the juvie. The girl has entered a not guilty plea, and the judge ordered that she be evaluated to determine if she understands that her actions are wrong and is competent to stand trial. Which, at that age, I say it could go either way. You never know exactly how these kids are being brought up, but at the same time, the thought of a 2-year-old being beaten to death. I will teach my kids to value all human life, no matter how young or old they are. Am I right or am I right, Jay?
Certainly right. So right that I'm getting choked up over the whole thing.
So sorry to choke you up over this, but it's one of those things that does pop up from time to time in America. All is not well in time, ladies and gentlemen. And neither is it well in Pennsylvania. The boyfriend of a college freshman found dead in her dorm room was charged Monday with homicide after an autopsy found she had been severely beaten and strangled during a struggle in which a prosecutor said she fought for her life. Police officers responded to a 911 call early Sunday from the boyfriend, Gregorio Orosieta, said they found him trying to administer CPR to Carly Hall, his own face, hands, and jeans smeared with blood, his shirt ripped, his chest scratched, and his forehead cut, a police affidavit said. Authorities believed the CPR was completely fake and that Hall had already been dead for hours when Orsieta called them to Millersville University, claiming the young woman, has suffered a heart attack, said Lancaster County District Attorney Craig Stedman. And speaking of heart attacks, I think we've had enough of having heart attacks over kids and adults being beaten or shot or anything to death. So I think now's the best time to send it to break. But when we come back, I have your business reporting, including McDonald's stocks are lukewarm going into this year. So will their fries stay starched, and will they still be rationed in China? Radio Shack has announced over 1,700 store closures. Is yours closing? And iOS 9 is on its way. Big whoop. And so is my new iPhone. Big whoop! All that plus, Jason Miller, what do you got for it? Sorry to surprise you, Micah.
No surprise at all. HSBC Bank helped clients dodge millions of dollars in taxes. We have that story tonight. Netflix launches a new service in a new country. We'll tell you what that country is tonight. Then, U.S. government has new figures out on Obamacare saying subsidies are averaging $268 a month. Is it true, or is it more government BS?
I'm sure it's the latter.
And we'll tell you what famous day it is today, and I'll give you a hint. It has to do with food. All that and more on the Evan-Miller Report, your conservative news source, when we return after these messages. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Evan-Miller Report on SHR Media and Pundit Press Radio.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
How you doing? John Grant here. When I'm not slaving over a hot microphone on the 405radio.com Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, I check out Sean and Clint here at Sackheads Radio. We all appreciate the best political bloggers, writers, and commentators. We either get them on our shows or we make fun of them, as it should be. So check us out live Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern or forever on the podcasts on the 405radio.com.
This is Tammy Jackson, inviting you to join me on the Tammy Jackson Show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Pacific on the 405radio.com. Put down that remote and tune into the show that covers politics, guns and the Second Amendment, religious liberties, sanctity of life, the military, and more. I host newsworthy guests and work hard to be a conservative radio show that's not like all the others. So save Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific for me, Tammy Jackson, on the 405media.com.
Hello, I'm Paul, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is my professor, Dr. Larry Arnn, on the separation of church and state.
America's founders believed in the separation of church and state, in that the country was not to have an official religion or an official sect. But that did not mean that government was to be hostile to religion, or even indifferent to religion, as many today argue. In fact, America's founding document, the Declaration of Independence, includes both a reference to God as the author of the laws of nature and a confident assertion that human beings are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights. Far from being hostile or indifferent to religion, America's founders understood the theology of the Declaration to be an essential part of the education of citizens.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.org.
Hi, this is Rooster from Outcry Radio. Catch me here on Blog Talk Radio every Saturday night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or follow my blog. Now, back to the Sackheads.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Let's get back to the Evan-Miller Report on SHR Media and Pundit Press Radio.
business news tonight. Banking giant HSBC helped wealthy clients across the globe evade hundreds of millions of pounds worth of tax. This, according to the BBC, in an exclusive investigation. Their investigative program, Panorama, has seen accounts from over 106,000 clients in 203 countries, leaked by a whistleblower, Harv Falakan, back in 2007. The documents include details of almost 7,000 clients based in the UK. HSBC admitted that it was accountable for past control failures, but it said it was now fundamentally changed. They say, quote, we acknowledge that the compliance culture and standards of due diligence in HSBC's Swiss private bank, as well as the industry in general, were significantly lower than they are today, end quote. The bank now faces criminal investigations in the U.S., France, Belgium, and Argentina, but not in the UK, where the HSBC is based. HSBC said it is cooperating with the relevant authorities related to the matter. UK Treasury Minister David Gockley defended the government's actions on tax avoidance in the House of Commons today after Labour MP for Birmingham's Lake Wood, Shabra Mohammed, tabled an urgent question. He insisted that the Treasury's approach had been very successful, saying it had sought prosecution for serial tax invaders and raised extra tax revenue. Offshore accounts are not legal, but many people use them to hide cash from tax authorities. And while tax avoidance is perfectly legal, deliberately hiding money to evade tax is not. The French authorities concluded in 2013 that 99.8% of their citizens on the list were probably evading tax. All right, moving on to Netflix tonight, where the internet movie and television streaming provider has lodged in Cuba as diplomatic relations between the U.S. and Cuba continue to thaw. That's a matter of opinion, of course, to you, ladies and gentlemen. Netflix said its content, such as a series House of Cards and Orange is the New Black, will be available to anyone with international payment cards. On the January 15th, of course, the U.S. announced new rules that ease long-running sanctions against Cuba. A trade embargo had been in place since 1962. U.S. credit card firms MasterCard and American Express have both said they will also launch operations in Cuba soon. Last month, Netflix said that its international expansion was proceeding ahead of schedule. The company said it plans to expand to 200 countries in the next 2 years and to earn material profits from its operations overseas by the year 2017. And ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who don't know today, and Corey Evan will be very excited to hear this. Today, it's National Pizza Day.
Yeah! Oh, boy! I'm going for pizza.
Ladies and gentlemen, I don't often sing on the program, but today, we're going to have a pizza party!
Let loose the radio juice.
And speaking of pizza, one local-based pizza chain out here in California, the California Pizza Kitchen, is having a big special to celebrate Valentine's Day. Yeah, I know, I'm not much into the day of love, but you can't beat this deal. They are having one appetizer, 2 entries, and 1 dessert just for $32. So if you're a cheap guy like I am, take your lovely little sweetheart to California Pizza Kitchen. You can't go wrong with $32 in your pocket, especially with Corey Evan, considering his meager salary he receives here at SHR.
Yes, about that.
And you have more on the national business news, including McSheets.
Right, and just noting your international news in business, all the stock markets are down. The FTSE is down 16, and the biggest loss of the day was the DAX, down 182. Back home, we didn't fare any better. The Dow was down 95 at 17,729, the NASDAQ down 18 at 4726, and the S&P 500 down 8 at 2046, so you can tell it's Monday. U.S. stocks fell on Monday as investors worried about Greek debt negotiations and disappointing Chinese economic data on top of uncertainty about U.S. interest rates. After the market's strong week last week, 9 out of 10 S&P sectors finished down today, with healthcare and utilities seeing the worst. Only energy finished up slightly, boosted by rising oil prices. Greece's Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras rolled out any extension of its international bailout on Sunday and announced moves to reverse some of the reforms imposed by its lenders. National Bank of Greece's U.S.-listed shares fell 7.4% to $1.12, which now seems pretty cheap to me. China's exports fell 3.3% from a year ago, while imports tumbled 19.9%, far worse than expectations. The utility sector was down 0.9%, extending losses from Friday as investors worried about rising interest rates. Monday's retreat came after all three major indexes showed strong gains last week, with the Dow Industrial rising 3.8% for its biggest weekly gain since January 2013. McDonald's, which is replacing its chief executive in a bid to reignite growth, posted a worse-than-projected decline in global sales for January, dragged down by a slump at its Asian restaurants. The sales, which measure locations open for 13 months, fell 1.8% last month, the Oak Brook, Illinois-based company said in a statement today. Analysts had estimated 1.2% decline, according to consensus metrics. While U.S. sales narrowly increased, the region that includes Asia, the Middle East, and Africa plunged almost 13%. The results underscore the challenges facing incoming CEO Steve Easterbrook as he charts a new course for the world's largest fast food chain. The sales slowdown led to the resignation of McDonald's current leader, Don Thompson, after less than 3 years in the job. McDonald's shares declined 3.4%. In Asia, McDonald's has suffered a series of setbacks, including the rationing of French fries in Japan. Sorry, I said China earlier. I do profusely apologize for that. And a scandal involving a meat supplier. As you know, Shanghai Husi Food Company was accused of repackaging old meat in July, prompting McDonald's to take products off its menus in the region. The woes have taken a heavy toll in Japan, where the company lost $186 million last year. The company's sales plunged 39% in the country in January, marking the 12th straight month of decline. And Radio Shack plans to close about half of its stores in the next 6 weeks, and it'll impact nearly every state, the company revealed to CNN Money. It released a list of 1,784 stores it says are due to close by March 31st. Only Alaska is immune to the store closings right now. The state with the most closings is California. What do you got? You were going to say something, Jay?
Oh, no. Sorry. My apologies. Looking at something else in our newsroom at the particular moment, so my apologies for distracting you, Mr. Evan. Continue.
Probably someone who bought from Radio Shack. But at any rate, Alaska's the only state where no closings are announced. The state with the most closings is California, which I live right around the corner from one, so I'm going to check to see if they're on the list, and if they are, I'll buy them out. And then New York was number 2, and the company home state of Texas. Vermont has only 2 stores slated to close. The list shows just how much Radio Shack is oversaturated in many markets. The company once bragged 90% of the U.S. population was within minutes of a store, but the network has over 5,000 locations and has become an unaffordable burden, with many stores competing against each other. On the island of Puerto Rico, there are 56 stores. 45 of them are closing. The company has not said how many jobs they lost from the store closings, but it's going to be thousands, I can tell you that much. Or from the company giving up about a third of its floor space in its remaining stores to cell phone provider Sprint. Radio Shack had about 21,000 employees as of its bankruptcy filing. The closings are part of Radio Shack's bankruptcy filing from this past Thursday. According to what staff from across the country told CNN Money last week, many of the stores have already had their hours and inventories severely reduced, and merely a skeleton staff is left to sell off items at deep discounts. So, the pickpocketers, you need a break in, Jay?
Yes, absolutely. Got some breaking news here. I'm following here in the newsroom. Looks like we have a high-speed pursuit in Los Angeles, and the guy in the car is driving on the wrong side of the road. So, ladies and gentlemen, breaking news. Idiot of the day goes to driver in Los Angeles driving on the wrong side of the road and almost running into a lorry. Come on, people!
Oh, no! Wait ladies and gentlemen, we're sorry to bring yet another high-speed chase to you, but you know how we Los Angelinos are about our high-speed chases, but this one takes the cake right there.
And you know when it gets really bad, and it's a very low news day in the United States, when you got a low market like San Diego taking a Los Angeles news story.
This is in San Diego they're reporting this?
San Diego is reporting this, and this car chase is out of Willowbrook, Los Angeles, of all things. So you know that the newsrooms in California really don't have too much to report today if they're all reporting on a high-speed pursuit. And now it looks like the little gentleman has gone out of the car, and oh my goodness, he's trying to hijack another car! Oh my goodness!
It's like Grand Theft Auto, ladies and gentlemen!
Just hijacked a luxury car, and oh my gosh, he's continuing down the road. Oh my goodness gracious, this just continues getting better and better. And of course,
I don't have a video signal on this. Can you see what kind of luxury car it is? If it's a Jag, then oh boy.
Well, let's see what we can do. Corey, why don't you go ahead and finish up the business with folks, and I will establish a signal with a Los Angeles affiliate, and we're going to cover a high-speed car chase on tonight's show.
Right. In the meantime, are you hoping for a whole slew of revolutionary features in iOS 9? You better not, because you're going to be let down. According to a new report from 9to5Mac, Apple is focusing more on improving the stability of its mobile OS rather than adding a bunch of new features in the next big release. What you'll likely get is a mobile operating system with fewer glitches. Kind of boring, yes, but the news should be music to the ears of anyone dealing with slow Wi-Fi and battery drain issues that have been plaguing older iPhones and iPads, such as mine, since the release of iOS 8 in September. While there's no word of Apple planning to fix these specific problems, Cupertino is reportedly going on a major bug hunt for iOS 9. With iOS 9, Apple's already also reportedly planning to further reduce the amount of storage required to perform a software update. That's good news for those of you with 16-gig devices or anyone who's ever been forced to go on a deleting spree just to clear enough space to upgrade. The blog suggested that Apple might limit iOS 9 support to newer devices. The report comes after Apple late last month squashed a number of bugs with its latest iOS update, but ignored the major Wi-Fi, battery drain, calendar, and Bluetooth problems some users on older devices are experiencing. Jay, are you experiencing any slow Wi-Fi or big-time battery drain on your iPad?
Not the iPad, the iPhone, though. I am getting some issues on that, so I may take my...
You must have a newer iPad, then.
Yeah, I may need to get a new iPhone battery. Yeah, it is. All right, folks, we have established a signal with the Los Angeles channel, so we're going to get the latest on this car chase since it is making some news here. And we have this guy now going through emergency lanes on the side of the freeway, so we join KABC Los Angeles and their coverage on this car chase.
As well. There's one or two police helicopters in the area flying side by side with us in Air 7 HD, and the next stop's going to be the Firestone off-ramp. Now you'll watch in just a moment here, he'll come off that right shoulder and join the main line of the freeway, because at this point, after Firestone, the freeway gets much lighter, and I can see off the nose of the helicopter, traffic does stay light up towards City of Commerce, and then right by the Atlantic Bandini off-ramp and a little closer to Washington, that's right by the Santa Ana freeway, that's where traffic starts getting very thick, using his blinker now to change lanes, in from the right lane to the far left lane, back into the middle lane. So far in the second vehicle he's being pursued, and we haven't seen him crash just yet, but the prior car, again, that was a Grand Theft Auto suspect, he crashed at least 4 times, and the last one was a real violent one in Linwood at Imperial and the 710. That's where he got out of the car being chased and got into somebody else's car before police officers could catch up to this guy. So we're coming up now on the Florence Avenue off-ramp, and traffic is still light up ahead, squeezing right in the middle of those cars. He's not really too concerned about crashing into somebody. He's already crashed a number of times. The Corvette getting ahead of him just a little bit. Now the number 2 lane, second from the left. Traffic is light to moderate right now on the 710 northbound as he continues up from Linwood toward Commerce and East LA. I'll throw it back to you guys once again. I can tell you just a reminder, this traffic will be very light, at least up toward the Santa Ana freeway, and what happens up there is going to be a real game changer because traffic is just bumper to bumper up toward Commerce and East LA.
Bill, real quickly, are you hearing anything on the police chatter about this that indicates that he is more than just a Grand Theft Auto suspect, because he has now carjacked one person, he's armed? is there something more to this than we're first led to believe? Is there indicating just the desperation of this individual? Maybe there's something else involved here.
Oftentimes there is something else involved here. Sometimes these are repeat offenders, and they've got really nothing to lose. At one point, this guy might be thinking to himself, if I go back to jail or go back to prison, this might be my final chance. So he's going to do everything he can to keep himself out of handcuffs and keep the chase going and hope for the best-case scenario. He might be able to get away, but it's so rare. These are so high-profile. Look at that convoy of law enforcement right on top of this guy. Most likely LAPD officers, California Highway Patrol officers as well. Not sure if sheriff's deputies are here, but also police helicopters overhead. A number of charges, reckless driving, grand theft auto suspect to begin with. We saw the carjacking happen in Linwood near Imperial Highway and the Long Beach Freeway. On top of all that, law enforcement officials indicating they believe this gentleman is armed, therefore dangerous. Windows are back up right now, driving at moderate speeds. Looks to be about 60, maybe 65 miles per hour. That is the flow of traffic in the number 2 lane. We always count left to right, left lane, number 2, 3, and 4, and so on. So number 2 lane here. We're coming up now on the Atlantic Bandini off-ramp, and about a half a mile, although traffic is very light right here, it's just going to get bumper to bumper. So what he might try to do, as he sees all that heavy traffic up ahead, he might try to exit the freeway at Atlantic Bandini, perhaps a little further up at Washington. But for now, passing Florence Avenue, well before the Slauson overpass and before the Atlantic Bandini off-ramp, the pursuit just keeps on going now. He's about 60, 65 miles per hour. That is the flow of traffic. And
I'm Jason Miller, live in the
SHR
SHR Media Newsroom, and of course we're following a car chase in Los Angeles, and other markets such as San Diego have picked this up today due to the lack of news that is being reported on today, so we're following this as well. And as soon as we hear about a conclusion of this car chase, of course, we're going to bring it to you live here on the Evan-Miller Report. And if it does go into the Exceptional Conservative Show, of course, we will go ahead and let Mr. McClinton know, and we will keep you up to date on this story as it becomes available. Well, we have other news to report on, but we will keep you up to date on that story as it develops here in Los Angeles. The only reason we were reporting on it because it affected people's lives, and as well, this person could be other than just a regular carjacker. Could be a very high-value criminal here who's trying to get away. So he's currently in the city of Commerce right now, and of course we'll keep you up to date on that car chase as it becomes available. You have been listening on that KABC's TV in Los Angeles coverage of that carjacked vehicle, and right there. So right now, folks, we're going to go ahead, send it over to Corey Evan, and he has tonight's Lawsuits Across America. Go ahead and take it away there, Corey.
Will do. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated and come to order. Lawsuits Across America is now in session. First item on the docket, a Genesee County woman out of Michigan, claims a Beecher Metropolitan District worker offered her discounted water and sewer service in exchange for sex, according to a recently filed lawsuit. The lawsuit, filed Friday in Genesee Circuit Court, seeks more than $25,000 for the woman who claims she was sexually harassed, stalked, and intimidated by a worker at the utility district. Saginaw-based attorney Amanda Danielewski, who represents the woman, claims the utility worker made the sex for service offer in December to help her client offset the high bills associated with a possible water leak. The Beecher Metropolitan District raised its water and sewer rates 17% at the beginning of the year. The lawsuit claims some of the sexual encounters occurred in the district employee's office. Danielewski said the worker paid a deposit on her client's behalf in order to enroll her in a budget billing program. She also claims the worker sent her client sexually explicit photos. Court records identify the victim only as Jane Doe in an attempt to protect her identity. The utility worker's name is being withheld because he has not been charged criminally. Mount Morris Township Police Lieutenant Matt Lasky said his office hasn't received any criminal complaints regarding the allegations. The Beecher Metropolitan District has not yet filed a response to the allegations, but its officials deny any wrongdoing. Quote, there is no merit to these allegations, and the district will fully defend itself against all charges, said District Administrative Superintendent Kevin Forbes. He declined to comment further on the allegations. They never do. And they always say the same thing. We will defend ourselves. We will not admit we did anything wrong, even though we actually kind of did. I can read between the lines these days. Anyway, from the Charlotte Observer, it's been nearly 2 years since Daryl and Shirley Jenkins died of carbon monoxide poisoning while vacationing at the Best Western in Boone. And now their children are asking that somebody be held accountable. They're listed fraud. A lawsuit filed Monday blames Seth's Western International, the owners of the Boone Hotel, and the former manager, also a gas company, one of the company's contractors, and a local heating technician, all of whom worked on the hotel's swimming pool heating system where the carbon monoxide originated. Less than 2 months after the Jenkinses died on April 16, 2013, 11-year-old Jeffrey Williams of Rock Hill died in the same room, and his mother, Jeannie, was poisoned. The Williams family is expected to sue for damages, too. Their claims will likely be similar, but also include allegations of negligence by various officials who investigated the Jenkinses' death. Both families have made it their mission to get carbon monoxide detectors installed in every room in every hotel in every state. But note, ladies and gentlemen, that carbon monoxide monitors like that are expensive, so give them some time to work on it. But in the meantime, owners of hotels, if you have any way of natural gas making it into your facility, make sure all your maintenance is stamped up to date. And if you get any complaints, you know where to call. And finally, from the registeredguide.com, a University of Oregon therapist alleged in an email sent to UO officials on Sunday afternoon that several university employees violated state law when they told her to alter counseling care for a female student who was expected to sue the university. Jennifer Morlock said that she and another counseling and testing center employee, Karen Stokes, reported to state officials for the potential illegal and unethical behavior of unspecified employees within the counseling and testing center and UO administrators. Morlock didn't identify whether the student she gave therapy to was the 18-year-old victim in a rape case last year that involved now former basketball players Damian Johnson, Dominic Artis, and Brandon Austin. Sorry, I'm getting choked up on this case. A UO spokesman, however, confirmed today that the litigation Morlock referred to in her email is the civil rights lawsuit that the woman in that case filed against the university and head basketball coach Dana Altman last month in U.S. District Court in Eugene. Yet another layer in this stinking onion, which is, it's making me cry. I got to go to the American cases.
He has to cry on all broadcast of today, and I'm all the way down here in San Diego, and I can't even offer him a tissue.
That's not right. It's just one of those
First, we have an LA car chase. Guy's the idiot of the day on the program. Now we have Corey Evan crying on the air. My goodness, ladies and gentlemen.
It's the onion, ladies and gentlemen.
Of a broadcast, I don't know what is.
Yeah, you stay classy, San Diego. Anyway, moving on to entertainment.
Why don't we take the DC news and real quick, and then we'll take the entertainment here real quick, if you don't mind.
Okay, good idea.
All right, folks. The Obama administration said today that the 2015 Obamacare subsidies are averaging $268 a month for people in 37 states who have qualified for federal assistance to help with premiums through the website healthcare.gov, or as I like to call, healthcare.gov. An administration statement released less than a week before the February 15th close of open enrollment, or as I like to call it, open disclosement, for private health care coverage, said subsidies have reduced average monthly premiums to $105 as of January the 30th. For 6.5 million people who qualified through the federal website. About 8 out of the 10 people who chose health plans have premiums of $100 or less after subsidies, according to the Department of Health of Human Services. Without subsidies, average Obamacare premiums available through healthcare.gov stand at $374 a month. The Supreme Court is inappropriately signaling it tends to clear the way for gay marriage across the nation. Justice Clarence Thomas complained Monday in a stinging dissent to the court's refusal to block the start of same-sex marriages in Alabama. Bitterly objecting to Monday's action, Thomas provided a rare insider's perspective on the widely held view that the court's embrace of gay marriage is a done deal. Thomas filed his dissenting opinion after his colleagues rejected Alabama's plea to put a hold on the same-sex marriages in the state until the Supreme Court resolved the issue nationwide in the next few months. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got an update on that carjacking story, so let's go ahead and rejoin KBC in Los Angeles for that update.
bring the picture out a little bit. They wanted a little privacy. It sounds like they are indicating shots were fired. The condition of the suspect is unclear. They've shut down Via Campo. They've left the Pomona Freeway open at this point. The condition of the suspect is unclear, but fortunately, they are asking for a ambulance now, confirming it's a gunshot wound from police officers on the ground. So that ambulance will be rolling in here momentarily, and they have surrounded that suspect. You saw him get out of the car that he carjacked after being a Grand Theft Auto suspect in the first car, tried to carjack somebody else here on Via Campo, couldn't get into that car, and as soon as he made a run for it, police officers right on top of them. They knew he was armed with a gun, according to other eyewitnesses, and the situation escalated, and shots were fired here this afternoon. Reporting live from Air 7 HD, where the pursuit has come to an end near Montebello, I'm Bill Thomas, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
All right, that's the conclusion of the car chase, ladies and gentlemen. As promised, we promised you the conclusion on that car chase, what happened, and that is the conclusion of that. So, Corey Evan, no use being a stupid criminal, especially in Los Angeles these days, because you know what? You steal a car, you're going to get caught. It's a matter of when, not how.
Yeah, it's just like the Grand Theft Auto games. Eventually you'll take a wrong turn and the robbers will nick you.
Absolutely right. All right, folks, we're going to go ahead and send over to Corey Evan now, and he got an entertainment segment tonight. And before I send it over to him, the Grammys, according to recent figures by Nielsen ratings, say that the Grammys were down in ratings by 14%. With more on this, of course, is Corey Evan. And Corey, ratings weren't the only thing affecting the Grammys. Kanye West decides to crash the stage again?
Yeah, I know. What a night. Of course, the top five things that people found most memorable were, of course, the performances where Halsey and Ariana Grande performed, along with the likes of Paul McCartney and Beyonce, Annie Lennox, Stevie Wonder, Tony Bennett, and Lady Gaga. And, of course, Kanye made his return to the Grammys after several years, first to perform his emotional new song, Only One, and then to join McCartney and Rihanna for their little ditty. Sam Smith had a big night, which a lot of people ended up missing because they decided not to watch. He fought back tears of joy as he said to the crowd, "To Mom and Dad, I want a Grammy." Wow. After President Obama made a public service announcement about domestic violence, activist Brooke Axtell performed a spoken word piece about her experience with abuse. Kanye took the stage when Beck won Album of the Year. Remember when Kanye West interrupted Taylor Swift when she accepted her VMA award? Well, he reprised the joke. When Beck took Album of the Year over Beyonce, West took the stage before shaking his hand, smiling, and let Beck finish. Yeah, you might want to let him finish, guy. And Kristen Wiig made an appearance as well.
It don't even make any sense.
I know! Kanye West, he'll never change. That kind of reminds me of back when we were doing our radio and television education days at Palomar College. Remember when we did the Ebony and Ivory show? We did a little show where we had a talk show. Well, we weren't the hosts of it. We were in the booth doing the production. And we had a little Kanye West impersonator come in at the end of the show and made a Montel Williams joke, which even we were better than Montel Williams, weren't we? That was the top five list that I had for you. I've got additional stories, though. It's not just the Grammys in my entertainment report. NBC News anchor Brian Williams has backed out of a scheduled appearance on The Late Show with David Letterman this Thursday in an apparent effort to avoid... I'm sorry? There we are. Sorry, you're coming a little low on my end, but at any rate. That's in an apparent effort to avoid talking about his allegedly fabricated story about coming under rocket fire while riding in a military helicopter in Iraq. The last time Williams appeared on Letterman, he told the exact story that he repeated on numerous occasions since 2003, where the incident allegedly took place. By dropping out of his guest spot, he avoids subjecting himself to questioning from the sometimes cantankerous talk show host, who is scheduled to retire on May 20th after more than 30 years on the air. And speaking of dropping out of appearances, Lily Allen is still holding out on Piers Morgan, refusing to do a show once again. His Piers Morgan Tonight Show here in the U.S. was just one of the shows he's got going. The other one is his Piers Morgan's Life Stories in the UK. That's the one I'm referring to, ladies and gentlemen. This from the Belfast Telegraph. The outspoken singer has previously snubbed Piers' offer of appearing on his Life Story series in 2011, saying she wouldn't appear unless he gave £1 million to charity. That's quite a number, which I'm surprised if Piers even has that much, but knowing he worked at CNN, I bet he'd be holding out on that money. But anyways, Lily has now told fans on Twitter that she's turned down his yearly offer to be one of his celebrity guests once again. She wrote, quote, "Hey, at Piers Morgan, just got my annual email from one of your Life Stories producers. It's still a no from me, but thanks again." However, it seems Piers is convinced that the air balloon singer will agree to a chat with him at some point. He replied, "No problem, at Lily Allen. We both know it'll crack eventually. Hashtag Life Stories." And at the box office this weekend, the SpongeBob movie came out at number 1 with $55.4 million. Speaking of which, on Wednesday, instead of doing a regular entertainment report, I'm going to do a review on that movie. That's as soon as I can get myself over to the movie house. American Sniper came in now at number 2 with $23.3 million, and Jupiter Ascending at $18.4 million. That's our entertainment report for today. Hope to entertain you again tomorrow. Till then, I'm Corey Evans, sending it back to Jay in San Diego.
Thank you very much, Corey. And folks, just a reminder of our top story tonight here on the program. President Obama, when asked by a German reporter today about what his red line will be on Ukraine and Russia's crisis over there, could not answer the question and deferred it to German President Merkel. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the Evan-Miller Report for this Monday, February the 9th, 2015. I'm Jason Miller.
And I'm Corey Evan. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook.com/The Evan-Miller Report and tweet us at EM Radio Report for your latest updates at EM Radio Report, just for those of you who missed that. And I thank you once again for listening. I'm Corey Evans, saying for all of us here at SHR Media, we thank you for tuning in to your conservative news source. Have a great night, everyone.
Coming up next, the Exceptional Conservative Show with Ken McClin. His guest tonight is Rahul Bashul, and he'll be discussing negotiating with terrorists. Good night, everybody.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.